Hi everybody, this is M from DIYM, and today we have kind of a longish video, but today we're going to be making some blondies that have chocolate chips in them. And these are either strawberry or cherry brownies or cakes, depending on how you look at it. So I make them also in an ornament version, but also a box. So I'm going to show you guys what's in the boxes after this video. Stay tuned for that. But yeah, I know you guys probably saw the brownie video. This is kind of for other holidays, but you can also do this for any time of year too. It doesn't have to be just specifically for Valentine's Day or for Halloween or anything like that. It depends on how you decorate things, right? So you can make this stuff for Christmas or any other time of year too. Easter. It really honestly depends on what you want to do. So yeah, so it's really fun to make this stuff. Basically you just make it out of some sort of box or sponge. This is just strictly sponge, and then we decorate it with all sorts of various things, and I'm going to show you in this video what you are going to use. Stick around, I hope you guys like that. On to the video. Okay, so I'm basically making these pretty much the same way that I made the brownie boxes. So if you haven't watched that video, you might want to check that one out before so you can see the steps I'm skipping. There are a few steps that I'm skipping, specifically for this video, but also in general. So there's different colors for these cellulose sponges. I keep them in this freezer bag just because it sort of keeps them fresher, keeps them softer. They kind of come almost like pre-moistened, I guess, and then they dry out a little bit over time. So I like to work with them when they're sort of soft. So I normally get the cellulose sponges. I've only had this pack. This is a 24 pack. I don't know if you can get it still. I'm going to try to link the link down below if I can find them. But yeah, this contains 24 sponges. It normally comes with pink, blue, yellow, and green. So I'm going to use mostly pink and yellow for this particular thing. Normally I'll use the green for the brownies, and I'll just paint them with a brown paint, burnt umber. As I said, I'm going to link the link above and down below so you can check that video out. I also like to use a lightweight spackle, so this one's by Red Devil. I'll either put white paint in here if I'm going to do a whipped cream topping, which I'm going to do probably later. And then for this particular, I'm going to do pink frosting. So I'm going to put this Amsterdam pink, quinacridone rose light. Opacity is pretty solid. Normally it'll show the opacity or transparency of the pigments. So if it's more transparent, it's a clear box almost. It just has like an outline around it. If it's translucent, it'll have half black, half clear box. And then it'll have the plus sign system. This is for Amsterdam. They have that kind of system set up. I think for Liquitex it's a little bit similar. So they have also a solid box because this is an opaque titanium white that I'm using for Liquitex. And you can use either the Liquitex burnt umber or the acrylic burnt umber. So this sort of shows, I think this is more of a transparent pigment, and this is a more solid pigment. It can't be right though, is it? It has 3 plus signs. Oh, anyways, so I'm gonna try to experiment with one or the other and see if I can color, unless I already have some chocolate frosting already made up. I might have already got that made up, but yeah, I'm gonna use that probably for doing the blondie and just icing the blondie a little bit, because normally I use that for the brownies, but I figure that'll look nice on the blondie as well. But you can also, instead of making a blondie, you can make a lemon square, and then if you wanted to, you can try to put vanilla-ish or yellow tinted lemon frosting on top. That might be nice. And I'm skipping the step of cutting out the sponge in half, and then I cut out the centers of the lid and the base of the box, and then I'll try to put them together. Again, this is all in the brownie box video, and trim things, and then I can use the centers to make little ornaments. But yeah, I just wanted to see if I can make a strawberry frosting. Okay, so I've already got this open. My husband luckily opened this for me. Gonna mix together something in here in this paper bowl. And you can add a little bit water too to this if the paint doesn't dilute this enough and make it smooth. And this actually whips together pretty good, I find. This might actually be a very bright pink, which is kind of cool actually. You can do later if you want to. I kind of did a lot of paint here probably more than I should have, but that's okay. Just gonna keep on mixing until it looks like it's pretty consistent. It looks like it's pretty consistent at this point in time. So just gonna take this box. So I don't really have to paint them, which is kind of nice too. Just gonna take this box and I'm just going to put the frosting on top and try to get the corners as much as you can as well. And you can put it on as thick as, well, not as thick as you want, I guess. Try to do it as thin as possible, I guess, so that it dries eventually, but make sure that you cover up the box. And it's pretty opaque, so it should cover up the box fairly well. If you want to cover the bottom of the box too, then that's perfectly fine as well, but not necessary. You could do it with a piece of paper or foam if you wanted to. And if you wanted as well, you can also tape off the edges of this so you don't get as much icing at the edges. But it basically looks like you kind of cut into a square, cut into a pan or something, right? So there's that. I'm going to do another one as well, but first I'm going to decorate the top of this. So I have a whole bunch of different decorations. So you can make this for birthdays if you want to. I'm doing this for Valentine's Day. You can do it for Valentine's Day, whatever you'd like to do. There's all sorts of different things you can do. But yeah, I have these little conversation heart clay slices, so I might do that for one. I also have a whole bunch of different ones here. So I have these. I think they look pretty cute. Different colors of cherry blossoms. If you want to, I'm not going to do it for this one, but this is a great Valentine's Day sprinkle, so it's little lips. I think those are really cute. I'm not going to do it just because I know the people that I'm gifting this to are not really into lip stuff, so. I also have this in case you wanted to do stuff for Christmas, or actually this is pretty much good for any time of year too. You can even do this stuff for Halloween, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, so there's these kind of sprinkles too. So I might do that for the Blondie. I might top the Blondie with that stuff. So I think I'm going to use this. This is cool for birthday stuff, but I'm not doing this for birthdays. And then I think I'm going to use this one. I'll show you guys how I top the other one as well. So while this is still wet, you kind of should sprinkle some of this stuff on top. You can always put it on by hand. I like to sometimes miss the middle, but I forgot to do that this time. Just because I know there's going to be a dollop of something happening in the middle. But yeah, if you can spread it a little bit, that always helps. And then just sort of tap it in the icing so that it sticks, kind of like a glue. Even though I'm not going to paint this, I'm going to decorate the sides at some point, but I'm going to let this dry first. And then with this going, this is so nice. It's like a whipped topping. It's really fun to spread this on. You can spread this on if you want to put this in a piping bag too, but I find just spreading it on with a spatula or popsicle stick works just fine. Or the palette knife too. You can always do a palette knife. You can even put little strawberry bits in the whipped topping, but I'm gonna probably go over it with something that looks like a strawberry sauce. Yeah, this just looks like a nice strawberry cake square. I think there's strawberry brownies out there too that people have made. I think you can make strawberry cake with some sort of gelatin. I don't really like that idea for people who are vegan, but I thought this would be really, really cute for Valentine's Day. Okay. I'm gonna try to avoid the middle. No, I didn't do that last time, but I'll see if I can avoid the middle. You can even mix a few different sprinkles if you'd like. I'm not going to do that, but say you like a few different types of the sprinkles, like this, and the lips might look really cute together or something. Tap down what you can. And yeah, sometimes certain ones want to go on top of each other. Alright, so I'm going to let these two dry for now before we do the next stage. Oops, let's just put these guys on. There's some sprinkles I decided to go rogue. So I might save the rest of this in another container, but I'm going to see if I can get the whipped chocolate to stick on top of this guy. Okay, I already have some of the chocolate ones made up, it looks like, so I'm going to take another popsicle stick. I'm going to see if I can put some sort of chocolate chips on the side to make this look a little bit nicer. I'm going to also do a little light coat of paint on there because this is very, very yellow. And this is not really the Blondie color I was really going for. I think that's a little too much of the chocolate on top. I'm just going to spread it a little nicer. It's fine to have a little bit of texture. Okay. And then I said I was going to put this on top. So this is nice for Christmas, I think. But as I said, pretty much any time of year, even Halloween. You can also put chocolate little bits on top. I think that's always nice. Or you can do the chocolate sauce or caramel sauce, whatever. I'm going to try to do caramel sauce. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting. I'm just gonna do stuff around the edge. I always try to do the whole, decorate the whole thing. And you can totally decorate the whole thing if you just want to skip steps and stuff. You don't have to do all the steps that I'm doing. I just like to go the extra mile. I think there's some people that have gone as far as to put fake ice cream on top and then whipped cream and then other toppings, but I'm just gonna do whipped cream and sauces and things. Whoops. Yeah, you can sprinkle it on a little bit more if you'd like, just to have things a little more sporadic. It's really up to you and how you want to decorate. I don't mind things being a little too close because it just balances things out a little bit, makes it look a little bit not so perfect, which I think is the goal. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. And then I'm gonna leave that to dry, and then I'm going to do a little dollop on top. So I think I'm just gonna put this aside for now. So just to use up some of this pink icing, I iced the top of these smaller pink sponges so they kind of look almost like a strawberry sponge cake, and then I topped them with birthday sprinkles, lip sprinkles, more of the conversation hearts, and then these peppermints. So this could be nice for if you wanted to have a little variation of, I had some brownie ornaments that I made, so if you want you can hang them on your Christmas tree, or if you do a Valentine's Day tree or a birthday tree or whatever the heck, right? You can definitely do that. I'm gonna do these guys with the chocolate, and then I think I'm gonna make it look almost like Halloweeny. There's some more Halloweeny toppings, so that'd be cool in case you do a Halloween tree as well. But I wanted to just say that I got these a while ago from the dollar store. They're to-go bowls with lids, and they're pretty cute. So I just decided to stick the rest of the pink frosting in here just to preserve it a little bit. And you can always add a little bit of water to revive it in case you're making some more. You can add a little bit more paint as well if you'd like. So there's all sorts of stuff you can do with that. Anyways, I'm just gonna put this away, clean up a little bit, ice the top of these guys, and let these dry a little bit, and then I'll do the next phase of everything. Okay, so I'm just setting up my little area here to do some light painting just to make this look like it's been baked a little bit. So I'm going to attempt to do that with some burnt sienna. You can probably get some sort of craft paint. I know there's different craft paints that you can get that have some sort of similar color, almost like a caramelly or light brown color. So I'm just going to dry brush on here. Whoops. Normally I would do this on a palette, but I can't find my palette right now. Just gonna do that. And also I would have more of a stencil-y stipple brush. Just to make it look a little bit more baked. So it doesn't look like a bright lemon cake or something. So yeah, I'm just wetting the acrylic a little bit just because it's a little too dry. Normally I would just dry brush it, but it's a little too dry. Just gonna make this kind of match a little bit on the inside too, just so that it looks a little bit better. Okay, so that looks a little bit more food-like and edible, more of a golden brown kind of color. And later on I'll just put them together and then see if I need to do any touch-ups to make things look like they're more cohesive. Okay, I don't know, I think that looks a little bit better. It might look better in the light. Kind of looked a little dark there, so I'm just gonna try to match that a little bit. Anyways, it looks a little bit more baked, I'd say. Is it supposed to be on this way? I can't remember which way it's supposed to be. I'll just do both sides just in case. Okay, anyways, that's that. I'm gonna see if I should do these guys. Just a little bit of brown might make it look a little bit more baked. Fun fact, I told you guys that I lived on a farm. My mom had a horse named Burnt Sienna. She was a very creative person, my mom. I didn't know that that was a color for a while. When I worked in an art store, all I could think of was my mom's horse whenever I saw the name Burnt Sienna. She kind of looked like that color. She was like a chestnut horse. I don't think I have any pictures of her, unfortunately. Oops, that's a little brown looking. Okay, that's okay. This is the burnt side. That's what we'll make the burnt side. It's like a corner piece, you know how corner pieces get a little burned, or side pieces, maybe it'll do something like that. If you guys wondered how I adhered this stuff on, I just shot some glue down the sides after I squeezed this sponge over top. I think I just used Fairly Arts glue too, so it should stay on fairly well. Hard to dry brush without making things look like a completely different color. I wonder if you do the yellow sponge an orange color, I wonder if it's gonna look like a pumpkin flavored square or something. That'd be kind of neat. Okay, there's one done. Doesn't really look pink anymore, but it's okay. So crazy how just dipping it in water a little bit just browns it so much. I should have done this prior to decorating it. I wasn't thinking. I just wanted to get things done as much as I could and let things dry as much as I could. It feels like whenever I wet it, it's almost dyeing the sponge, which is kind of interesting. I guess it makes sense. It just absorbs the color after I wet it. put these guys together and see how that looks. It looks pretty good. It looks a lot better, I think, than it did. Let's just see which side works best here. That side? Well, let's make it a little bit more brown tone just to match it up a bit. There we go. It's a little bit nicer than it was. In comparison, I think this is a little too pink. It gives a nice, more baked look. Okay, I don't have that much time on my phone right now, but you guys get the picture. I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm gonna attempt to put chocolate chips in here. So I did the same thing that I did with the red glue stick. I just chopped up some chunks and stuck them in here so it looks like little chocolate chip chunks. I'm just gonna put them sporadically around. If I need to, I'll chop up some more, but I just want to sort of experiment here and see what I can do. There seems to be some holes here. I'm just gonna dump it out just so it's a little easier to access. There just seems to be some holes here and there that I could attempt to just squish something in to look like a chocolate chunk or chocolate chip. And then I might spread out some of the paint. Anywhere where I can see some sort of black from the box, I'm just going to stick a little chocolate chunk in there, or chocolate chunk. I'm just using the Barely Arts glue for this, but you can use all sorts of different glues. You can even, if you want to, just add dabs of this in hot glue form, because this is hot glue. I just didn't feel like changing out my hot glue gun for different colors. I just decided to do this instead. So there's lots of different ways you can do this. You can even just paint the chocolate chip look on. I just want it to be sort of sporadic. Come on. You don't want to glue in there, which is funny. Come on, you're literally glue. I'm gonna chop these up a little bit smaller, some of these. Okay, chocolate chips there. It's pretty much on all sides now, except for here. I'm not gonna put it on the bottom of the box though. This one doesn't seem to have as many holes to play with, so I'm just gonna snip some there and there. Okay, I think I'm just gonna let this sit for a minute. Some sides are more chocolate chippy than others, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. Okay, I'm gonna wash my hands and then I'll be right back, and I'm just gonna do some strawberry ones. So I'm doing similar things to the strawberry ones. I'm going to dump this out so it's a little easier to apply. They look almost like little nib bits, to be honest. It's funny. So this is a big gap right here. I'm gonna take this off actually and glue this guy down. And I'll just get a big chunk, stick it right in there. You can take it apart and do this too. By the way, this is a little present I'm gonna give this person. I'm gonna get a bit gluey, I think, on these scissors, unfortunately. Oops. Yeah, I'm just gonna take this out for now. This glue should dry clear when it's dry. Okay. And I haven't done any of this part yet. Luckily I made a lot of the strawberry bits here. And like, I don't want to glue onto this. So at least they don't look like glue dabs, you know, with the hot glue. Because I think that would just be too stringy most likely. And that's not the look I'm going for really. Okay. Put that on. And you can see that it looks like it has little strawberry bits in it. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the camera, but I'm going to do that with this box here. This one looks like it's going to be a little more complicated. I'm just going to have to shove up some stuff in there and in there, some bigger ones, just to make it look a little bit nicer. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to make these chocolate chips and strawberries look a little bit more like they've leaked into the cake or Blondie. So I'm just going to get a paper towel. These are all dried and glued on now. I just put some burnt umber in there from Liquitex Basics collection. I want it to look a little bit more baked in here, not just sitting on top. So it looks like that stuff is melted. That's what I kind of wanted to give the appearance of. And if there's any little spots, it looks like something was, I'm just going to add a little bit of that brown color. Okay, so now it doesn't look like it's just bulging out. This looks like it melted in here. Bakers will probably know what I'm talking about. Maybe, I don't know, we'll see. Do you guys bake at all? Let me know in the comments below. That's okay if it's kind of very chocolatey. I'm just gonna let it spread. Just want it to look like it melted a ton here. Like the knife made it spread a little bit, like it looks like melted chocolate, right? Okay, it doesn't look as chunky here, but that's okay. It looks a little more realistic when there's some patches missing anyways sometimes, so nothing looks perfect, I find. So I think I'm just gonna leave a section without. That looks so much better! What do you guys think? Looks a little bit better, right? Okay, I'm gonna let that dry. Okay, I'm gonna wash my brush, dump this out. This looks like chocolate milk, eh? I'll just throw this container out, and then I'm just gonna get a pink. So I'm gonna do a similar thing for the strawberries. It doesn't look too bad right now, but I'm gonna definitely do that for that too. You know what? I think I like the bits on its own for the strawberry, because I think it's just nice to have little bits in there. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do the melted look like I did here with the chocolate. I think I'm just gonna leave it the way it is, because I kind of like it on its own. Yeah, but I mean, you could totally do that yourself if you wanted to. If you wanted to get a little bit of red and water it down, or if you wanted to get maybe a deeper pink or like a deep magenta or something, that might be good. But I think I'm just gonna leave it the way it is because I kind of like the look of this. Yeah, it looks pretty good. It looks almost like a cherry or strawberry cake, which is kind of awesome. So I'm just gonna leave it, and then I'll do some sort of whipped cream later. Okay, so I'm gonna do this pretty quickly just because I have some groceries coming being delivered right now. So I just wanted to do a dollop of whipped cream on everything here and then add some stuff, but I will do the sauce after the whipped cream is dried. So I basically want to put some of these candies on this one. I want to put the strawberry on this one and this strawberry on here. And then for the Halloween ones, I want to put, I've got these cool Ouija planchette things. I think they're kind of neat looking. So I might just top those with Ouija board planchettes. I think those are neat. I mean, you can do any color. I've got lots of cool different colors here, but I just kind of want to leave these for making necklaces. I want them to have this particular thing on it just so I can string something through it and I can actually dangle it on something because it is a decoration. I'm probably going to do a darker wash on these guys later. I just don't want to do it right now. Another day though. So I'm going to do that for these guys, and then for these guys, because they're more Valentine's-y, I wanted to do stuff like this on here. I might actually put little cherries on these as well. Just gotta figure out which ones I want to put on here because there's a whole bunch of these. Maybe I'll do a lot of them Be Mine ones. Hug Me might be an interesting one actually. Here, we'll do Hug Me for this because this one's more like a birthday one. This, and we'll do Sweetheart for that. I'm doing a lot of pink ones. Oh, let's see actually. Let's give it some more color here. Let's do Sweetheart with the yellow. Be Mine. Be Mine with the blue. I think I don't mind the Hug Me with the pink. I think that's fine. Okay, so yeah, so I still have lots left over so I can make necklaces and things like that out of this, but yeah, I want that. And then I'm just gonna get these cherries out. Might snip them now. These fake cherries for the top of here. I don't know if I'm gonna do them on all of them, but I'm just gonna do them on maybe a few. Snip just so it looks like a little stem. Let's do two. Maybe one on here. It would actually look fine on this one, so I'm gonna do that one, and then one on this one, and then just gonna snip off some wire just so it's not so long here, just so it's a smaller stem. And if you want to, you can paint the stems. I don't think it's really necessary, to be perfectly honest, so I'll just do that. And then I'll just throw these guys out. You can reuse wire if you'd like, but it's just so small, so. Okay, I'm gonna mix up some more white. So my husband opened up my containers for me with a screwdriver, and I'm just gonna take this popsicle stick here, take this out, add more to this. This is quite soft still already. Add a bunch of that. Red Devil lightweight spackle. Move that aside. Use whatever brand of spackle you like. If you want to add a little bit more water, you can, but I'm going to add some of this titanium white. I know this is going to remain white anyways, but I like to add some paint just to give it a brighter white color. Mix that around. Okay, and then hopefully you've seen my other videos where I've done this, but I just take a little container. This is normally for when I use water just to wash my paintbrushes, but I also use it for stuff like this. So I'm just going to open this up and just fill this piping bag with more of this mixture. Okay, so it has a little bit of dry bits, but I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal, hopefully. And then carefully, I know there's going to be some flakes coming off, carefully pop this up. I think this tip is a 2D tip. Whoopsies. Move that down a bit. I could get a fresh new bag and wash the tip off, but yeah, it's not a big deal here. If you can, try to get way, way, way down towards the tip. Looks like it's kind of having a hard time doing that for some reason. But anyways, because I don't want it to come out the top. Okay, let's see. Hopefully this is okay. I'm going to attempt it with one of these guys here. Whoa, sometimes they sputter a bit. So then I'm just going to put some string on there like that. All right, so it's a different alternative to what I was doing before when I was showing you the brownies at Christmas time. Yeah, you can add more stuff if you'd like. And that should harden when you let it dry for a while. I really like how this tip actually makes things look a lot like whipped cream. It's very textured, it's very cool. Okay, so I'm just gonna, oh, I think I was gonna put one of these cherries in here as well. Let's do that. Okay, so those guys are done for now. I'll do the next step with them later, maybe with some sort of either chocolate sauce or caramel sauce or cherry or strawberry sauce, depending. So I'm just gonna decorate that one first. So yeah, if you want to put a little bit more, feel free, go right ahead. You can even put sprinkles and stuff like that on there. There's all sorts of different toppings you can do for these things, but they look so much cuter, right, than they did. They still looked cute before, but I think these look a lot cuter than they did. So I got these little gummy bear packs, and they've got one of these white ones that are sort of more opaque, and then they also have more opaque pink ones, which I don't think I have. I think I just have the white that's opaque, but then I think they have more red transparent ones, but I just put a pink transparent one and then a purple one because I know that the little girl likes purple, but this is going to be for the mom and then the dad over here. And this is just for in case I wanted to make a Halloween tree or a Valentine's Day tree, but yeah, I'm going to do some sauce later. So yeah, so for this, you might want to... Still have a little bit in here. You might want to take a paper towel that's been wet. You can clean the tip off if you'd like, but then mainly put that over top just to seal it in. And I'm just going to put that back where I mixed it in that container, just seal it up, and that should normally keep for a little while like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna let these guys dry, and then I'll be right back and I'll show you the sauce technique. Okay, so I'm gonna do this guy first. I have some caramel color that I've mixed up with some Mod Podge, Dimensional Magic, and 10 drops of this Ranger alcohol ink in Sunset Orange, and then I did 1 drop of this Ranger alcohol ink in Sailboat Blue, and I just mixed it together and made a caramel color. So I'm going to pour that on and see what happens. Hopefully it works out really well. And this is already nice and hard, the spackle. Try not to let this run off the side too much. For people who like chocolate and caramel. And you can also put some sand on top if you wanted to look almost like salt and caramel. Like if you do white sand or pink sand, you can always do a little bit of that. You can also do, I don't have them on me right now, but I also have, they look like tiny, tiny, tiny ice cubes for little tiny doll drinks. And it looks kind of like sea salt almost. So that's an alternative as well if you wanted to do something with that. I don't want this to drip too much off this side. Whoops. I don't want it to block off this box. Gonna clean this up slightly. Now I probably should clean this with a paper towel or something, but this is already gonna go in the trash, so. Okay, so that looks very runny, but it looks kind of like caramel too at the same time, right? So I'm just gonna leave that. And then I have alcohol ink as well from Ranger, and it's called Watermelon. I'm gonna also do that, as well as the Mod Podge, because I find that looks really good together. It's almost like a resin effect. So I'm just gonna put a lot of this Mod Podge, as much as I can, this Mod Podge Dimensional Magic, in this cup. I'm going to put some gloves on in a second because I find the alcohol ink can stain your hands really well, so just be careful with that. Yeah, if you don't want this to look so transparent, you can always add a touch of caramel colored paint, and that would work out really well too. And if you want to make a chocolate sauce, you can just do regular gloss Mod Podge and burnt umber paint chocolate color. There's different brands. So this one's a nice dark chocolate color, but that normally does the trick. Or you can just use something like a tulip brown, because that's also quite chocolatey looking. I've got a larger size as well, just in case. I might take the tulip for now because it's already made up, and then just put some on the Halloween ones. But for the strawberry sauce, I'm going to probably try to use it on a lot of these Valentine's-y looking ones. 10 drops. You don't have to do that many drops, but I find that that's a good round number. You can even put a little bit more. I think I might put a little bit more of this Mod Podge Dimensional Magic in here. Mix it around, and that's okay if it's a little bit bubbly, that's fine. Another thing I'm going to do is I've cut up some bits of this glue stick. I just did it with a sharp pair of scissors. I'm just gonna do a few more. You might want some of these little bits kind of in there, just a few, just to give it more of a textured strawberry appearance. This sauce could look a little like cherry too. It looks almost like a compote, I find. An alternative to inks might be, and I haven't tried it yet, but I've heard you can try blood. If you can find some blood color for Halloween, fake blood, good quality fake blood, pour a little bit of that into. Some people use resin, but I'm just using this as an alternative to resin. I feel like it's a nice alternative. I'm just gonna put a bunch of these bits in. I find they give a little bit of nice texture to this, almost like strawberry sauce, right? I'm gonna start off with this guy here. You can pour it directly on the strawberry itself. I might go off the side a little bit, and that's okay. So it just looks like there's a little bit of a strawberry sauce on there, and just let that dry. Okay, this is looking actually more watermelon-y than it did before. Okay, so definitely want to do this one. This almost looks like cherry. I just want to do a little bit on there. Maybe this one. I might do chocolate on the rest of this stuff. Okay, so I just want to do a little bit there. I might do a little bit on here too. But yeah, try if you can to make sure that it doesn't block off the box in any way. Okay, so I think that's mostly what I'm gonna do. I might actually do maybe a little bit on here, to be honest, because I like the red on this one because of the cherry. I don't want the strawberry sauce to go to waste. So it's nice. It looks like blood too, which is kind of cool. Looks a little spooky for Halloween. If you want, you can put this in a sandwich bag and then just cut a tiny hole in the bottom and then drizzle that on that way. I wouldn't really recommend, I mean, I guess you could, but I wouldn't really recommend doing a piping bag and a piping tip situation. I think it'd be easier to just throw out the whole bag. But yeah, so there's that as an option. Okay, so then these three here, I think I'm just gonna put some chocolate on. Actually, I'm gonna drizzle a bit of this pink color on here and this one, and then I'm just gonna do chocolate color for that, just for fun. I'm gonna do it more here. This isn't really much of a contrast, I guess. I don't know if I'd want to do a red color on here. I'm gonna get this out for this guy here. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do something like a contrasting color. This is mint, that's what it's called. But yeah, you can do whatever color you want, guys. Okay, there's that. And then, oh, my desk is such a mess, but I don't care. I'm okay with it. It's a pretty cute mess. I'm gonna do it on here. I think it needs a little bit of contrast on this whipped cream. Okay, that looks cool and kind of spooky, which I love. Fun! Could have also done a glow paint or something somewhere in here for the Halloween one, because I do have glow in the dark tulip color, but it's okay. I think it looks really cool like this. I'm just gonna wipe this up before it dries completely. It's very sticky, this stuff. Okay. I might put a little bit more in here. Hold on a second. So just notice that this needs a little bit, just a touch more here. There we go. Okay, and I'm just gonna wipe off that a little bit too. Okay, that's really cute. They're really fun. I really like that. Very bright, but I love that. I think they look awesome. Okay, so just a little bit of Mod Podge Dimensional Magic can create sort of a see-through caramel kind of effect. And yeah, so there's all sorts of different ways you can decorate these with either the sauce on top of the whipped cream, or it looks like you put the whipped cream on after. There's all sorts of different ways of doing this. So just play around, guys. Have fun. And I'm gonna let these dry, and then I'm going to, for the little decorations, string some baker's twine, and then I'll turn them into ornaments. So yeah, I'm just gonna let them dry overnight, maybe a little longer depending, but we'll just leave it and come back and I'll show you how that looks. I'm just gonna do this really quickly. So I'm gonna take some of this brown tulip paint, the slick version, dimensional fabric paint, so it's kind of chocolatey, and then I'm gonna take these mini ice cubes and sprinkle it on to look like salted caramel on top. Just gonna do that real quick just to add a little extra something, and then I'm gonna let that dry a little bit too. So this is already dry, this caramel. It's a little bit liquidy, so liquidier than I was anticipating, but it doesn't look too bad in certain patches. I just want to do a fun zigzag pattern here, like that. Maybe down here a bit. Okay. And then you can put sand on this too if you just want a regular salt, but I want to make it look like sea salt. Okay, and then just leave it like that. So I just wanted to state that, so I didn't really show it on camera or anything, but I really watered down. We're talking mostly water and a little bit of burnt umber paint. So I just used this Amsterdam version of the burnt umber. So I just watered it down, mostly with water, just a little bit of this burnt umber on the side, mixed it in the water as I went, and had a little bit on the side to do splotches, which looked kind of like chocolate chips. I did them a little bit more sporadic. Some sides looked more like chocolate chip than others. I did a bit of a wash on the bottom, but I wasn't too concerned about the bottom having chocolate chips or not, because people aren't going to see the bottom all that often, so I was more concerned about the sides. So I did that on both the Halloweeny Blondies that I did, and then I also did just a wash, no chips or anything like that, on the strawberry ones to make them look a little bit more not like an actual sponge. So there's a little bit of pink showing here. Just gonna go over that a little bit. Right, just basically doing that just so that the sides are a little bit better. If I want to, I can always add a little bit of red. Some pink is showing here. You know, if you want, you can add a little bit of red so it'll look like dried cherries or dried strawberries in the cake mixture. You can add that to the side of this if you want to, or you can just leave it the way it is. I'm just going to choose, I think, to leave it the way it is and just let it dry. We have it pretty much done at this point. I'm also going to add some string. Okay, so I put some string on some of these guys. Not all of them though, because I wanted to show you guys what I was doing. So I got something about this length. You can go longer, you can go shorter, but basically I'm using a baker's twine, right? So this one's in red and white, and then I have all these different other colors as well. I think this was on clearance when I bought it, but you can always get lots of different colors. You can get regular string too. You don't have to use specifically baker's twine. I just like lots of different colors. I think it's really fun and festive. So yeah, so what I wanted to do is show you how I did this. You can put the loop through. If the hole in the bail is large enough, you can always stick this through. Another way you can do this is before you knot things. I'm just going to cut this off actually. 1 second. So anyways, I'm just gonna try to put the more frayed end through here. It's actually a little easier to do with these guys because these are more stiff materials. Hopefully I can get this through without it unraveling. There we go. There's one. So stuff that's not so stiff, you might want to actually try the loop first, because it's hard to get through. It's always helpful to have a bail that's quite large. Also, these guys can get in the way, so just be careful. These little cherries. You might want to even do this step before you actually stick stuff through the wet whipped cream. It's really difficult to get this through. I shouldn't have done this one last. I'm just going to twist this as much as I can. Actually, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try the other method. You can put things through this way if you can, but I'm going to try to knot it in advance and then put it in through the loop first. Okay, so I'm going to put it in backwards because I want the knot to be back here. I don't really want it to be in the front part. I'm just going to twist this around a little bit. I'm going to try to get a needle. I'm going to push it through with the head instead of the actual needle itself. Okay, so the needle got through. Is the string going to go through? Some of it seems to be caught. It's a very thick string. So yeah, I would do this prior to putting it in here because it makes things a lot more awkward, or can anyways, if the string it's falling apart. Oh, finally got it through. Oh my goodness. That took way too long. It's a little bit messed up at the top, but that's okay. There we go. Sometimes you just need a little helper. And then I'm just going to cut this part off here that's all frayed. Make sure that it's pretty tight before you do that. Yeah, make sure the string is really tight as a knot before you do that. Okay, you can even do a double knot or something. Anyways, there you go. If you want to, there's other ways to do this. Maybe you want this part at the top. You can always loop this and pull. Take this, put this at the top more, and then loop this and pull that through. So it's right here. Does that make sense, guys? Hopefully it made some sort of sense. I don't know. But yeah, then this part's right at the top. I'll just put that back the way I had it. It's nice because you can play around with this and it won't be right in the hardened whipped cream. In case one of these strings breaks, it's a little easier to replace it. It's good to have a very large bail though, so that it's easier for the string to actually go through, depending on the thickness of the string and how sturdy this string is. But anyways, there you go, guys. This is all of my ornaments that I've made. You know, they've got a jumbled, tangled mess happening, but that's ornaments there. And then here's the boxes. So I did this little keychain for one of the people I'm gifting to for Valentine's and Palentine's Day, or Valentine's Day too. You can celebrate Valentine's Day with your friends as well. The daughter, I'm giving these guys, which I'm not sure if I'm going to release this before or after, but yeah, I will try to link the video down below so you guys can watch that later. But yeah, I made those little ring pops of different colors. The colors are kind of like Powerpuff Girl vibes, right? Like similar colors to the Powerpuff Girls. I don't know. That's what I noticed. And then this guy I made for the father of the little girl. So he likes video games, so I made him a keychain as well. And this one's got a little controller, which I think is really cute. So I just made that really, really quickly off camera. But yeah, this, I think I put a little too much on it. I kind of wish that I just sprinkled on a little bit of salt because it looks very salty, but it does look like a salted caramel treat, which I think is really, really cool. Really, really cute. Anyways, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and it's very similar to the brownie box video, but I just wanted to show you a few different other ways to decorate. Obviously, this might be a little bit more work, especially if you're doing stuff on the side, right? These little chocolate chips or cherry or strawberry bits, right? But yeah, I really, really hope that you guys like that. If you do, please be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you think somebody else is going to enjoy this, please share the video. I'm also going to try to package this up and show you how I'm packaging these in the end, just to gift these to somebody, okay? So hope you stay tuned to the end to check that out. So I found these at the dollar store. Technically, this is last year, so I don't know if they're actually around again, but you can get lots of cute different packages. This one looks like it's big enough to hold a big thing of popcorn in it, so hopefully it will be good enough for putting these little brownies in. I also have doilies that I got. This one's a heart-shaped one from the dollar store as well. These ones I got at the grocery store also last year. I'm doing this in 2025, but yeah, I just want to show you guys how I'm going to be doing this. So you can actually wrap them up with these heart doilies or just regular doily. Heart doilies are kind of cuter, actually. I think these are a little bit larger than I really anticipated, so I think I'm going to get a bunch of doilies for these guys too, the heart doilies. But yeah, I also got this shred. So there's red shred, pink shred, and white shred. I think I'm just going to use the white shred. It has little hearts and little hollow bits throughout the shred. This one's more plastic instead of paper, but you guys do you, and you can get whatever colors you want. But yeah, I think this one will be really fun to use. So I've got these. There's red, there's pink, there's white. So I'm going to get a pink one out, pink and then white. And if you want to, you can pop out these little bits and stuff, but you don't really have to do that. They're just die cut doilies. So I'm going to do 3 different colors. Okay, so I'm going to open up this bag here, and then you come with little twist ties, which I think is really cute. I'm going to get 3 of these guys out. Yeah, they should fit the brownies. I just want to put a little bit of the shred in the bottom. There's lots of little hearts at the bottom here, so I'm going to try to wrap some of those. It's quite the nest happening here. Just going to take a little bit at a time and just make a little nest inside. Okay, and then I'm going to clean up this little mess here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of fold these up kind of like a taco and stick them in the bag. So nested in this doily and some shred. You can always take some shred and bring some up a little bit. And then take one of these guys. And you can embellish this however you want if you want to. I'm just going to do this simply because I've done so much already with these boxes. But you can put bows and stuff like that on here like I showed you guys in the bow video. I'll link that bow video down below. There you go. I'm going to try to do each one of these guys. Yeah, just in case you guys forgot, I made this brownie box, and then I made another one of these too. I made a bunch of these actually before. And then I also made this Rice Krispie square box on my channel. I'll link the links for all those fake bakes down below. I've also done fake cakes and stuff too for boxes. I like making little fake bake boxes because they're really fun packaging to gift to people. And as you guys know, I love gifting stuff on my channel. Okay guys, there you go. They're all done and going to go off to somebody. If you want to, instead of doing something like this, you can also put the fake bakes in a baker's box. You could make a small one for individual things. You can get little baker boxes with a little acetate window or just by themselves and decorate the box if you want to as well. It's up to you. You don't have to go that far and do that if you don't want to. Yeah, so this is just one method of what I'm doing to gift these, but you can totally go hog wild and do whatever you'd like. And I'm going to put these guys in a bag full of other treats and things. So okay, that's pretty much it guys. I hope you all have an awesome Valentine's Day, Galentine's Day, whatever, and yeah, have a good one guys. Okay, take care, bye.